As always, your voice, direction, and input are important and extremely needed to ensure that West Oakland has a project that they are not only happy with, but extremely proud of. We last met in spring 2025, and a lot has happened since then. Our agenda for this evening is we'll start with the Bay Trail Plaza design, followed by site amenities, followed by wayfinding and interpretive elements. Then we'll move on to stories to tell, followed by color options, one of the most exciting topics for this project, and close out with questions and comments. Why the West Oakland Link project is extremely important. One is that it provides a direct and seamless bicycle and pedestrian connection between West Oakland and the Bay Bridge East Span path that'll ultimately connect to Treasure Island and downtown San Francisco via an electric ferry. And why this matters so much to the West Oakland community is that the community has historically been cut off from the water, and this path, right, will allow residents to move back and forth freely. And most importantly, it creates a safe route through what otherwise would be extremely difficult routes to access. And we now will have very soon a safe and direct path to different locations. What is the project? The most simplest way to explain it is it's a trail project. And what it does is it creates 1.1 miles of separated, elevated, low stress, multi-use path. So whether you're biking, walking, scooting, rollerblading, roller skating, you're able to do that away from cars and trucks. And this path will connect to the Grand Avenue protected bike lane, which will get you to downtown Oakland. And the West Oakland Link officially starts at the Mandela West Grand intersection. And what we'll see is lots of different community amenities throughout the neighborhood. And all of that is reflected in the community input over the last 2.5 years. As always, our meeting expectations, right? First one being respect, right? Please make sure that you are communicating with kindness and being aware of how much space you're taking and being aware of those who have not spoken, respecting time agreements, and ensure that your comments and questions are on topic. All right, please listen for information and with an open mind. Trust, we're assuming good faith, right, as we're giving and receiving feedback, right? Criticism is always welcomed, and we appreciate questions, right? This is a learning project and a just learning curve for all of us. This is the first time that an infrastructure project in West Oakland has been done this way, okay? And inclusion, right? We're very aware of who's here. We also care very much about who isn't here and how we can remedy that. Your presenters for the evening, right? We have Gavin Laurie from MTC. We have myself, Nicole Marino Choi from West Oakland Environmental Indicators Project. We have Matt Malone from Perkins and Will, Ann Salerno from Perkins and Will, and Geo Main from Einwiller Kiel. And Gavin, I'll pass it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Nicole, and thanks for joining. Yeah, so we wanted to kind of bring an update to the Bay Skyway and where we are right now. So the West Oakland Link is an important piece of the Bay Skyway, but it's not, the only piece that the Metropolitan Transportation Commission is working to help deliver. We are really focused on delivering a full connection between the East Bay and San Francisco. So the multimodal base skyway will do this by building the West Oakland Link, the YBI multi-use path, and delivering an electric ferry in coordination with the SF Bay Ferry to bring people from Treasure Island over to the ferry building and then eventually the Mission Bay. All of this connects with the East Band path, which was a $400 million investment made when the East Band was replaced. And so it's really building the infrastructure there. Now we have enough funding. We have about $100 million in funding between the West Oakland Link and the Waybuena Island multi-use path. So we will be delivering phase one of the West Oakland Link, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then we will also be working with the San Francisco to deliver a counterclockwise path, but with protected bike lanes down to Treasure Island. And so we're excited that that's happening, and that's all upcoming. Eventually, that will lead to the full multimodal Bay Skyway, which will be the phase one and phase two of the West Oakland Link. So all of the West Oakland Link, it will be a full 15-foot wide multi-use path on the south side of Waybuena Island, and we're hoping to deliver all of that by 2031. And then the West Band path is kind of the goal after that, which we do hope to deliver by a few years after that. But the West Band path is kind of a later goal, and we're trying to build momentum towards that because it's very expensive. Just quickly to talk about when some of these are opening. So the Bay Bridge East Band path opened in 2013. At that point, it really, and to this day, only connects over to Emeryville and IKEA. So we are working to remedy that. So in 2027, we expect the electric ferry between Treasure Island, downtown San Francisco, and then Mission Bay to open. So you will, and there is an existing path now, but it's quite steep on Waybuena Island. We do plan on opening an interim path, the Bay Bridge Forward West Grand Avenue path, in 2027 too. Then a lot of those kind of interim improvements for the Waybuena Island multi-use path will be delivered. It's not the full path, but it will really allow people to get down to Treasure Island from Waybuena Island and utilize that ferry. Then phase one, or the interim West Oakland Link, will be delivered in 2029. And then the West Oakland Link and Waybuena Island multi-use path, the kind of full build out is expected in 2031 before we hope the West Band at the Bay Bridge is completed either 2034 or later. And that's really dependent on funding, as is the full West Oakland Link. But we do have the funding for everything that's on this chart until 2029. So I know that there's been talk for a long time in the neighborhood about a path and making a connection between the neighborhood and the existing eastbound path leading to the eastbound of the Bay Bridge. We do expect that to open around summer of 2027 as a kind of a temporary multi-use path on West Grand Avenue. So it will not be the end width that we want. It will only be about 8 feet wide, but it will create a connection for the first time from the West Oakland neighborhood that is protected from cars with railings that separate them, and will bring you there. And then that will really open up that connection to Treasure Island. Then in terms of the West Oakland Link, as I mentioned, we were able to secure for construction about $65 million. The full project cost is over $100 million, so we're not able to build the whole project, but what we are able to build is an area connecting to the Bay Bridge Forward path. So in the diagram at the top of this slide, you will see in blue is the interim path. That's the Bay Bridge Forward path that will come in 2027. The phase one of the West Oakland Link, or the interim West Oakland Link, this is the green that you see in that same diagram. We are going to build the section that carries you over the port area infrastructure. A lot of the impetus behind this project is we do not want, too many people over on Maritime Street and Burma Road, where there's a lot of truck traffic, and there's some future rail lines over there. So the West Oakland Link, the phase one, the interim project, will deliver the green path that carries you over the port area infrastructure and to the Bay Trail. And that we expect to be completed in 2029. And we are currently now looking for the funding to complete the project and build out the full West Oakland link, which would build everything in the diagram below, and everything that was covered by the blue path before. So this is the parts that are in the neighborhood improvements. It's a path up, a better, wider path up on Grand, a direct connection through a loop ramp that connects to Wood Street. This will allow you people to access the path without having to cross frontage road, which we know was a comment from the community and one we work to address. And then also some of the neighborhood improvements and little pocket parks, the dog park that we've talked about. Those will all be delivered with phase 2 of the project. Another kind of important change here is we did adjust since the last time we came to you the touchdown to the Bay Trail. So we had previously, this was our original alignment, was this, we call it a hairpin, but it's a loop that brings you down to the Bay Trail. Originally, this was the plan, but we had to pivot because of some issues on the site that we found. Those have now been resolved. And so in our previous iteration, we had been calling out a Burma Road touchdown and Burma Road path. That has now been removed. This is kind of the consensus choice among all the key government stakeholders, and we believe is a better connection, kind of offers more safety, and also a kind of more direct connection to areas going up north on the Bay Trail, which will have a full multi-use path connection to Richmond. So that is an important change. We now are coming back to our alignment where at the end you will loop down to connect with the Bay Trail. I'm going to let the team talk about some of the exciting things we're looking at that area, but really important to mention. Another change that we wanted to just call out so everyone's aware of is, originally we had been looking at having a stairwell in the middle of near where will be the Oakland Maritime Support Services Center. This is an area that will have a 24-hour shop that will also include a restroom. There's a planned park and a food court in this area. This was kind of an exciting amenity that we were looking forward to connecting to. In our original plan, we were going to have a staircase that you could park your bike at above, over by the facility, and then come down a staircase, get something in the shop, and walk back up that staircase. Unfortunately, to provide equal access, we've had to trim that back. We will still have the staircase, but it will have to be a one-way trip. So it won't, if you are biking, you won't be able to park there, go down the staircase, and come back up. Now you will kind of be required to take the longer route, which is down the ramp that we'll develop, and then cross Maritime and go into the development. And if you're walking, you will be able to kind of still come down those stairs, but you won't be able to leave back up. So you'll have to come down and then go over and kind of cross these routes. And so that is based on some consideration. Maybe in the future, there will be kind of the ability to do some more with that, with maybe an elevator if that becomes possible. But that's not in the cards right now. So we wanted to just provide that update because that is something that we had kind of called up as access before. And we do, we do want any of your feedback on that. And I think that's also included in the survey. And so we're going to pause here because I kind of talked about the Bay Skyway and those connection, and there's a lot of years flying around, and there's some changes here. So I'm just going to pause in case there's any questions. I would also say we do have a survey that we're encouraging people to take. We aren't actually a very big group, so kind of if you're here, I think you can probably just unmute yourself and ask questions. But yes.
I'll ask a question. Hi, Charisse. Nice to see some of you again and meet some of you. Just about the last slide, was there ADA access, wheelchair access?
So the wheelchair access will now be the same. You'll have to go down the ramp and cross Maritime Street and then come, but they will be basically kind of an equal access with everyone else. Now there was, we did have there was plans originally with a ramp down here that didn't work, unfortunately, because it created a safety issue with blocking the view down on there from the cars coming down. So we've been really working on this, but it is something we are looking for. If people really feel strongly about this, we can, see what we can, we'll take that feedback and come back.
ADA community is kind of a big deal. Um,
100%. Yes, 100%. Yeah. And so, you know,
and I had a second question to that. Do you know if you have any like 110 chargers for e-wheelchairs, which also then would double for charging for like e-scooters, maybe?
I
Yeah.
think that we have had that brought up before. I think when we looked at it, the issue is there was concern that that would draw encampments.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, you know, we had looked in some of the requests that we had received from, um, people before for the mobility scooters was, could you put that where there's benches and the shading and canopies? And when we looked at that, it just, it would be a real kind of incentive, I guess, almost to encamp there. And so I think those are unlikely, unfortunately.
Hopefully we'll have that fixed in a couple years. More people have.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, no problem. But great question. Thank you.
Gavin, just to clarify, the stairwell access, it is, which direction will it go?
So the way it is, we still want this kind of as an emergency exit staircase because it is quite a far distance between here and the touchdown. When it opens, the current plan is that it will be an exit only staircase. So you can go leave it, but you can't go up, and obviously emergency, management will have access and there'll be ways of, basically we don't have the exact design, but likely be you'll put a push gate where you can push it and go out, but you can't come back in.
When we originally started the community meetings, we envisioned an elevator. And then from an elevator, we went to a ramp. That wasn't feasible. And then we went to stairs, and now we have stairs only in one direction. What would it take to actually have access in both directions for that stairwell?
So I think it's going to have to be, if we get a lot of feedback that people are interested in that, we can have that discussion. I don't know if this is the permanent condition because, currently right now, outside elevators are a challenging solution that we are not able to use here. We are designing it in a way that in the future, if that becomes less challenging, then we could add one. So we're not precluding that as a future design in future phases or as, it becomes more popular. But currently, this is, we have to work with our partners. This will be owned by the California Department of Transportation. Oakland's heavily involved. And so we are working on what we can best deliver. And right now we do think that staircase is important, but that is kind of our best that we're able to do right now. But we do any feedback on it and that is helpful. Okay. Is there any other questions on this? Otherwise, we have some kind of exciting updates on that I'll let Matt jump into.
All right, thank you. Excited to be here today to share what we hope is going to be an inviting sort of gateway and invitation to the West Oakland community, our new Bay Trail Plaza, and this new connection that we had and then lost and have gained back again. So just to walk you through some of the design moves. So just to help you understand the plan, off to the left, you sort of see the dash sort of elevated trail loops around and then comes underneath the elevated trail and then lands in the space sort of underneath the overpass. So it's a protected area that we are infusing with a new landscape to sort of buffer the space and really improve that experience. We're really excited to be able to reutilize some of the Bay Bridge steel to create moments for art and a beacon sort of announcing the West Oakland link and as well as seating elements. We're looking at programmatic opportunities like fitness stations, as well as interpretive elements and wayfinding, which will be super important at this critical juncture between these two trail systems, as well as an air quality monitor and, of course, plenty of bike racks. We're also looking at the potential to locate a restroom here. but we're somewhat challenged at the moment without a sewer connection. So we're exploring the feasibility of doing a septic or something to that effect to make that feasible for us. And that'll be coupled with a water fountain. Let's see, other than that, I mean, we're really just hoping to make this space really beautiful and active, and we're going to be looking for your feedback on what would make this space a really great place for you guys to hang out and spend some time. Next slide, please. Here you can see one of the views of the space as you're entering from the Emeryville sort of direction. Off to the left, you can see the existing condition, but here you can see the proposed improvements. Off to the right, sort of a wayfinding element, which we imagine will help people navigate to local destination, as well as sort of points beyond Treasure Island and things of that nature. Here you can see the potential restrooms that we have modeled and just the surrounding of the native planting. You can see some of those seating elements and the beacon, reutilizing the Bay Bridge steel that we're super excited about, and the fitness stations off in the background. Stepping forward a little bit here, sort of entering the space, you can see a clear view of that beacon, which we think will be a super inviting invitation to enter and sort of head towards West Oakland. Other pieces of the Bay Bridge steel that are turned into art and seating elements. And back in the background, you can see some other interpretive element opportunities and wayfinding. And then here you can see completely underneath the structure, super protected. And as you can see, we're really trying to buffer this space, make it feel safe and inviting. And again, I guess continuing to see different views of the Bay Bridge steel elements and some seating off to the right. With that, I'll hand it off to Anne, who's going to talk specifically about some of the amenities and site elements that you'll find.
Hi, I'm so glad to be chatting with you all today. So we're going to talk through both site amenities and a little bit about the planting that we're going to be exploring in the site design. For site amenities, just to kind of recap what Matt was talking about in the plan we showed, and these elements will be found across the project. Some of the elements that are going to be a given in the project will be a water fountain, lighting, bike racks, wayfinding, interpretive elements, and air quality monitors. Those will absolutely be included in the project. Things like seating, art, the beacons, restrooms, I think fitness equipment, even the way lighting is deployed across the site, are all elements that we would love feedback on in terms of how these elements are expressed and how they create different opportunities, the form they take in order to create the most effective space, especially as this gateway plaza is sort of the first deployment of a lot of these elements, and then they'll find their way throughout the entire path. So I think as we go on, taking these as sort of a beginning level of a suggestion, and then thinking about, are there any elements we're missing? What could we add? How these things could potentially be expressed? And we'll revisit this at a moment after we talk about a moment to have discussion on this after we talk about the planting. So I think we can keep going. So then looking at the planting, in the phase 1 scope, we have sort of 3 main areas of planting, the largest being at the Bay Trail Plaza. So looking at how we can have a really beautiful ground plane planting experience around the ramp and then the plaza itself, building up tree buffers so that we're protecting from sort of the sound and the wind and just the overall sort of highway environment on the other side, as well as building up on the bioretention areas that already exist on site, but really creating a distinct character through planting at that area. Then at Maritime, on both sides of the intersection, or just really enhancing that pedestrian experience through planting, creating a more welcoming sidewalk. And then along the path moving east, creating both a tree layer of buffer and a ground plane buffer to enhance that experience, both on the interim path and then on the full path moving to the future. And then we can go to the next slide. So the way we considered planting throughout this project is sort of through a variety of factors, mainly making sure that we're looking at, are they native? Are they relevant to the local ecosystems? Are they hardy plants? Are they going to survive drought? Just general pedestrian traffic, any sort of pollution that's coming from both the highways and just general street usage, making sure that they're drought tolerant and are conserving water. Then looking at things like, are they attracting pollinators? Are they supporting a large biodiverse corridor throughout West Oakland? And then, the aesthetics of them. Do they provide shade? Are they beautiful? What kind of textures, colors, what sort of environment and are those plants creating? So I won't walk you through every single tree. If you have any questions or concerns about specific plants, we can absolutely discuss them. But just to give an overview of the sense of color, texture, all of these trees, making sure there's a balance between evergreen and deciduous so that there's shade, creating really interesting moments throughout the year through seasonality, making sure they're hardy, don't use a lot of water, and also will be hardy, or they'll survive drought, and will be strong survivors in an urban environment. And we can go to the next slide. Again, with our ground level planting, we won't go through every single plant, but this is sort of a combination of palettes looking at bioretention planting, plants that are appropriate for shaded areas underneath the highway, areas that get full sun where we're not underneath the highway. So plants that address a variety of conditions across the entire corridor, and then also create moments of excitement, moments of color through texture, through seasonality, so that it's not one singular experience throughout the entire West Oakland Lake corridor. And I can take a moment for discussion. So we sort of have 3 different question buckets to reflect on. So looking at the Bay Trail, and I think people can hop in. I feel like this is a small enough group. You can hop in if you need to, or we can read the questions, but Charisse, looks like you're...
I'll go. Okay, so before I forget, a couple slides back where you had the wheel where it said different kind of plants, and I think it was tab number 5. There it is. Filter air pollution, treat stormwater, sequester carbon. You actually might want to include by startup on there to supply it, which is basically engineered photosynthesis. So I'm capturing and breaking down pollution from radius recycling and over here and everything. So and the best way to add it into landscaping, I've done this before, is with like calcium carbonate aggregates. It's really good for also just runoff for soil, but it captures the carbon and breaks it down. So it's treating the stormwater. It's actually sequestering carbon better than anything else, frankly, than just regular photosynthesis of plants. So if you all wanted to throw that in there, I just want to let you know that could do number 5. And then I just wanted to make the recommendation as far as the plants about for low water, poppies, once they're watered once, then they don't need water anymore.
Yep.
That's flower.
Yeah, we love the California poppy. The native poppy is a great one. We actually have it included in our palette.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. So that was all. Okay, I'm done.
But no, we really appreciate that. That's super helpful to know about the carbon.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe, Gavin, if we can go back to, yeah, perfect. I guess maybe are there any comments about the plaza design, or anything about, anybody have anything that they want to discuss about potential amenities? Anything that we maybe were missing from what we were hoping to include, or think the ideas that we had?
I'll comment. I'm like the only community, I think, non-panelist here. Just that the lights could be LED and waterproof. As you know, we have a lot of salt water in this area, so if you can really make sure they're extra waterproofed, that's really good. And LEDs are extremely efficient. That's all.
Great suggestion.
Yeah.
All right. I think we can always come back to these. We'll have more questions at the end. But let's go on.
Great. Thanks, Anne and Matt. So we were looking specifically at the plaza that sort of starts funneling people if they're coming from the bridge or if they're coming from Emeryville onto the elevated bike and ped path. And so this is, as you know, going to expand all the way over to Mandela, but for now, we're going to talk about the phase one where it's connecting over to West Grand. So we're zooming into like the phase one side of things and starting to talk about amenity locations. So everything outlined in green are denoting amenities that are on the ground, whereas pink is elevated up on the bike trail. So we're pointing out things that are going to be inherently baked into the project, like major on and off ramp moments where people will want assign bike racks in case they need to store their bike for a moment, seating, mile markers over at the trail, and other amenities that Matt just walked through. Whereas once you start getting up on the trail, there's going to be some signage and mile markers intermittently because it's quite a long trail. And so we wanted to get feedback on people, if we go to the next slide, based on the character, look, and feel of these interpretive elements. Since we know we're going to have signage, we really want to go above and beyond the sort of standard, just a plaque or sign, and really emphasize universal design. So bringing in tactile elements, smart maps, so people of all abilities can really engage and make sure that it feels accessible to all. By incorporating small adjustments, this will become way more accessible and less sort of daunting for folks who are navigating quite a long distance. So here's some examples. On the left, noting how wayfinding, this is a super industrial area that people will be moving through. So by integrating color and sort of a brand identity or a trail character, people will see in the distance like what they're connecting to and where they're going. So you see that as ground surface treatments there, as well as paving marking, beacons like Matt was showing, that super more kind of iconic bay um, Bay Bridge metal integrated into a color for the beacons, as well as fun maps. And then we will be incorporating interpretive elements on the ground plane and maps that are three-dimensional to help everyone really understand this sort of complex or straightforward system in a complex landscape. Next slide. So part of these elements can really represent a site-specific experience of we're in Oakland. We're not in just a city anywhere in the United States. And Oakland has very specific stories to tell. So on this map, you can see that sort of vertical dashed line. To the left of it is this first phase one we're talking about that's getting built and kind of moving along first. And so we have all of these historical elements that we're passing through, like the Bay Trail, that on the left there, to the key train systems that we're moving through here. You can see photos also on the bottom and top of the Bay Bridge history and how that's really evolved, and how you start entering West Oakland. This really is sort of the front porch of West Oakland. So we'd really like to integrate stories that are specific to West Oakland's ecology and history into these signage elements and amenities, so it has a very Oakland character. Here are certain quotes from previous community meetings. There have been a number of community meetings and in-person events that different folks on this team have participated in, and we're sort of annotating ones that got a lot of comments in different online meetings. So seeing the story of the key system got a lot of support, and then also the 7th Street history, West Oakland's environmental justice history. And so there are a lot of themes that started becoming expressed. If you go to the next slide, we sort of wound up with 4 main themes from all the previous meetings of environmental history, transit history, West Oakland culture. The earthquake was kind of tied into the Cypress Freeway and how Mandela Parkway evolved. And so that's tied into West Oakland culture and transit history. There's a lot of overlapping um, themes and locations as a very complex evolution of West Oakland. And so we wanted to take the time to hear from people from at this moment if there are particular stories you would like to see in these interpretive elements along the trail, or if there's certain stories you'd want to elevate and say, this is very important to me and I want to make sure it's in the project. I know this is a smaller group, so I'm going to go on to color options as well, because it's all tied into the identity of the trail. And then at the end of the color options, we'll go over the all of these slides. All right, so several people on my team walked around West Oakland and adjacent areas to this project, and were kind of tracking all the materiality that kind of makes up the fabric of this space, like corrugated metal, lots of brick. So a lot of kind of brick and rusty red colors are prominent. A lot of local murals that are really vibrant on darker backdrops were common. And we were thinking about, like, how would someone who's coming off of Mandela see this trailhead and feel pulled in and know where to go through wayfinding as utilizing color. And so 4 colors became kind of the next step. If you go to the following slide, where through talking with folks, there was a lot of pride in West Oakland and love and excitement, and this pink array like developed. This was also one of our sort of signature colors, highlighting the trail through a lot of industrial area in our mapping and just within our visuals for the project over the years. So although it was a placeholder, people really resonated with pink and were kind of excited by how bold it was. We also have a lot of history in Oakland with the A's, the Ballers, and this this bright yellow Black Lives Matters murals, and a lot of kind of infused yellow Oakland history all tied together. Also in West Oakland and Oakland at large, there's the Black Panthers and this kind of adaptation of blue, and this sort of periwinkle blue in general, and hearkening to the bay. That's a big part of pride and the location. And then we also heard a lot of excitement around purple, which has a lot of ties to nobility, spirituality, and the wisdom in African cultures, and also is tied to some future projects that are happening in West Oakland that this will tie to. So we wound up with these 4 colors. We got to take some of them to the Peralta Night Market as samples and got to hear back from people there. And we wanted to give everyone a chance to talk about color today, because this has been a long project and we're kind of at the exciting point where we get to talk about fun things like colors. The next slide. So just to recap, we wanted to make sure everyone had a chance to talk about stories and colors and how this would kind of define the experience of the trail. Does anyone have questions or things they're excited about? Cherise.
There we go.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
Hi.
Well, I'm a pink. I voted pink.
Woohoo.
All about the pink.
Wonderful.
Happy to hear it.
Love pink, a woman, but that ties into the breast cancer awareness stuff, which is
Yeah,
we have environmental justice. It comes from all the transit pollution. So that's also why I picked it. So you pretty much have 3, 2, and 1. So transit history, environmental history,
Yeah,
and pink.
I'm
And
just writing this down.
that's my vote.
Yeah, and
Fantastic.
and I would say that, we're going to work with the team. It's also an MTC team that doing the Bay Bridge forward. So whatever color kind of gets selected to this, we believe it likely will also go on that. So it'll show up sooner, in 2027, this color will show up as a bright railing. And in terms of the stories, we are in a narrowing sense, and there will be additional kind of outreach after this because, you know, we do want to get that right. And we have a little bit more time on something like this, the kind of interpretive panels. So.
That's right. And I'll elevate Patrick in the chat so that he's on mute and so he can't speak up, but he prefers the pink and yellow colors. And Alvarina said that she's excited about pink as well. So really fun to hear. Ultimately, the color discussion has been really exciting and fun, and it's just been nice to get such positive feedback about having a bold color to really distinguish this project and really reflect West Oakland and tie in identity, safety, and all of these positive things together. So I'm really thankful for everyone's feedback. It's been really great because we didn't just land at these 4 colors. It's been a long evolution, and so it's been great to get here. I think that we can open it up wider to maybe Gavin, if we go to the next slide. This is just a look at all of the community input in meetings, which has kind of been building on these discussions of a lot of aspects of the project. And as Nicole mentioned, we are at our final phase for community feedback for this iteration. And so you could see us and our little "we are here" moment. There's a lot coming down the pipe where we have a split out for phase 2. There's going to be more community meetings and involvement for phase 2 where we tie into Mandela. But then we're going to be also presenting a updates and feedback about construction updates. And so this is outlining those big landmarks in the next few years. And so if you would like to follow along and be involved in that, we have the link available there, the MTC link. Although I'm assuming if you're here, you might have already have that link. And we're excited that phase 2 design meeting starts in 2026. So kind of around the corner. I also wanted to add, for those who are on here, if you scan the QR code and are able to just provide feedback that way as well, that's great. We're capturing what you've said in the call, but if you have more specific feedback or more open comments, there are fields on there for more open comments. And that's always really helpful when people want to lend some details or feedback. We really do take a look at that. So thank you all for your time.
Yeah, any other questions, comments, anything like that? I think Gio covered it well, but we are, I think this is the end of the, kind of our seeking input for this phase 1, because we do have to, if we're going to deliver it, we have to seal the design, finalize everything and move that along. But we will be coming back. There's a lot of, I think, exciting things, that we want to do in the community with phase 2, in the actual West Oakland community. And then, but the color is one that I don't think we will be coming back for another color. So I think this is where that really gets decided. So we appreciate all that input. Right.
A gentle reminder for I guess for Sharice and for Patrick and Alvernia, please, when you get a chance, just reach out to Councilmember Fife and Mayor Lee and anyone and everyone that can support this project on a local level. I think that support and momentum will ensure that phase 2 happens a lot more quickly than what we're seeing in this timeline.
So you mean on the TI to the city portion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's slowing down? Is that kind of what you're conveying?
I think that any sort of community support is a reminder to our elected officials.
He knows me, so send them stuff. Yeah. Well, then if you want to support something that I've been very heavily involved with for California and globally in zero waste, make sure you have, I don't think I saw them actually. Good. Thank you for bringing this up. Make sure we have recycling from landfill, ideally compost as well. We got to have those three things, and make sure those garbage cans are like the best ones around are what are here on Alameda, right by the Woodstock ferry on the Alameda side. Because they're by Radius Recycling, all the emissions come over and all that drama. They're concrete, and so they're safe as well. So definitely have those. You make sure you show like a bunch of litter abatement in that, and you'll get Mayor Lee's attention, in my opinion. Yeah, that's all.
Thank
Awesome,
you.
thank you. And those are, you said, on the other side of Woodstock and Alameda, right?
Yeah. So
We can identify the, yeah.
yeah,
I
there might
got it.
even be some on the Circular Solar X account and YouTube. But yeah, you could just go find them if you take Woodstock someday, and they're right there when you get off and on. They're the best. They've been working on those. I've been working on trying to get Woodstock in here for years. Okay. So a lot of this stuff I've been in the background trying to work on for a while. But those garbage cans are the best. If you go take some photos, duplicate them, they're super safe, and they're also metal, also another safety item, and they won't break down like plastic and then pollute the waterways or soil. So yeah, check those out. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, yeah, I think this was a productive meeting. We will put this video out so people can see it and kind of continue to comment. I don't think we won't close the survey for at least another month. We'll have to decide on that. But it is important to get this feedback in because we do have to make, some of these decisions are coming up fast. So thanks for all the comments.
Go Pink. Nice to meet everyone and see you again, Nicole. We met at West Oakland, right? I think I'll see you. I'm trying to go on the 22nd, so I hope to see you then.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And thanks for attending. We appreciate everyone who was able to make it out, and go Pink also. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.